Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this in one go, so if I stumble over my words going forwards, I apologise in advance, and I also apologise in advance if the quality of this video, particularly later on, isn't that great. Sadly, it cannot be helped, and hopefully it's not too much of an issue for you. First things first, I hope that you all had a good Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. If not, then I hope you were surrounded by loved ones. I myself had a nice time with my family. And now that Christmas is over, I am going to be getting back into the swing of things with Eurovision related content on my channel. I said in my last video, and I believe the video before that I would be filming at least 2 more videos before 2019 and indeed this decade was over. That's still the case, because I just keep coming up with video ideas. The one I'm filming today is one that I've had planned for a while, and I already have tried to film a couple of weeks ago. The other video will be predicting the next 10 winners, pretty much, of the Eurovision Song Contest, which will be a relatively non-serious, somewhat silly attempt at predicting the next 10 winners. And I would not take it too seriously when that video surfaces online. I haven't filmed it yet, but I will be, hopefully before the year is out. Today, I'm going to be talking about a country that is not competing at Eurovision at the moment. Now, I could sit here, and there might be videos in the future in which I talk about the likes of Turkey or Montenegro, who won't be present in Rotterdam in 2020. The same goes for Hungary. Did I just mention them? Yes, Hungary won't be in Rotterdam 2020, of course. I could talk about Bosnia and Herzegovina. I could talk about Morocco, who've only competed once. But I'm going to be talking about Andorra, the tiny nation best known for its skiing, situated between France and Spain on the map. It's literally a dot in any atlas or on any world map. Andorra has not competed in a decade. They won't be back for Rotterdam 2020, but the reason I'm going to be talking about Andorra today is because there are rumours that the tiny nation could be back in 2021, marking a 12-year absence from the competition, and it would be fantastic to see Andorra return. There are rumours circulating online. I believe that there was a show on Andorran television last night, tonight, or maybe in the next few days, regarding Andorra's participation in the contest in the past. I did see something about that. So anyway, I'm just going to get into it here. I have information in front of me to make sure I don't forget anything. I'm just going to adjust my lamp slightly as well. There we are. I don't want to be looking too much like a ghost if I can help it. So, RTVA is the broadcaster. Andorra speak Catalan. Andorrans speak Catalan, although I'm sure they speak Spanish and French as well. 6 appearances, no finals. That's a great shame. Andorra is the only country to compete in Eurovision, but yet to make a grand final. Morocco were in the final, of course, way back in 1980, was it? Bosnia have been in several finals. Montenegro, of course. Hungary, of course. Turkey, of course. Slovakia, of course. Luxembourg, of course, participated and won. Monaco participated and won. Even San Marino have been in 2 Eurovision Grand Finals before. But Andorra, it's just never happened, which is a great shame. So it says here, Andorra debuted in 2004 in Istanbul, and a lot of countries debuted that year, like Belarus as well, because it was the first time that a semi-final was being used. And so a lot of countries took advantage of that and participated for the first time, or indeed in Monaco's case, for the first time in years and years and years. A majority of the competing songs were sung in Catalan. As of 2019, Andorra is the only country to have participated in the contest without reaching the final, but they have come close. They have used an internal selection and a national final before, so let's go through the songs briefly. I don't want this video to be too long. In 2004, Andorra were represented by a female musician called Marta Rohre. Apologies if the pronunciation isn't that great. The song was called Jugarem a Estimar-nos, which roughly translates as We'll Play at Loving Each Other. One semi-final, of course, in 2004, and Andorra finished 18th with 12 points. Now, why don't you just take a stab in the dark, a wild guess at which nation gave Andorra all 12 points? I'll tell you, it's Spain. There's a shock. But because Andorra received 12 points, they didn't finish last or second last. They finished 18th out of 22 competing nations, which, when you think about it, isn't that bad, considering Andorra's size, their music scene, and the type of song that it was. This was a pop song, little bit of choreography. She had other guys and females on stage with her. The vocals could have been a little bit better, but I think the audio quality for a lot of performances in that 2004 competition in Istanbul wasn't great. This was a fine, if unspectacular, debut entry, playing it safe. Belarus debuted and finished 2 points below Andorra. Monaco were back, also finished 2 points below Andorra. Slovenia had an absolutely dreadful song that received just 5 points. And Switzerland received a big fat 0 with a song that can only be described as rather calamitous on stage. So yes, not a bad debut entry for Andorra, and Spain gave Andorra 12 points. Debut entry, first set of 12 points. Fantastic. In 2005, another song in Catalan. This was La Mirada Interior, which roughly translates as the inner look, the inner glance. And this was performed by Marianne van der Waal. This finished 23rd with 27 points, so a weaker position, but more points. Taking a look here, Andorra finished 23rd out of 25 countries, Monaco finishing below them again, and Lithuania were last in that semi-final. Andorra received 7 points from the Netherlands, which I'm not too surprised by, because Van der Waal, I believe Marian is part Dutch. 4 points from Moldova, who were debuting in 2005 in that Kiev competition. 6 points from Albania, interesting, and 10 from Spain. The 12 went to Romania instead. So yeah, 27 points for little old Andorra. Not bad, not brilliant. The song itself, I remember really liking this when I heard it on the CD. Back in 2005, I didn't watch the semi-final live, only the final, and I was only just getting into Eurovision, so I was pretty much oblivious to the semi-final format and any songs that had already been eliminated. But when I got a hold of the CD, I actually quite liked Andorra's entry. Not so much now. There's this big, long note towards the end. She was joined on stage by the Spanish 1995 representative Annabel Conde. Fun fact. It wasn't the best performance, but there we are. 2006 was the turn of somebody who was a waitress at the time, maybe still is, I don't know. This was Jenny. The song was called Sense Tu, which means without you. Now this finished last, 23rd place in the semi-final in Athens. It says here, even though 24 countries appear on a semi-final scoreboard, Serbia and Montenegro withdrew from the competition before the contest but still voted. Well, anyway, Andorra finished last. Their worst result at Eurovision to date. 8 points in that 2006 Athens semi-final, finishing 2 points adrift of Belarus, several points adrift of Monaco. Taking a look at the voting, the only country to give Andorra any points at all, take a wild guess, Spain. There's a surprise. But you know, why not? Friends sticking together, it's nice to see. This performance was rather risque. It's probably one of the sexiest, sultriest performances we've had this century so far. Jenny was wearing a black outfit, and she was joined by a bunch of other women on stage who were parading about in their lingerie and twirling chairs about. I mean, at least it held your attention, I guess, but I'm not sure that was the right type of staging for this song. And who knows, it probably played a part in why Andorra really struggled that year. Moving on, though, to 2007, and what a turnaround. No final, but considering that 2007 semi-final in Helsinki was the biggest semi-final we've ever had, How many songs competed? I believe it was 28. 28 songs in that mammoth semi-final way back in 2007. And Andorra finished 12th out of 28 nations, finishing above Iceland, Poland, Cyprus, Croatia, Albania, Norway, Denmark, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Montenegro, Estonia, Israel, Malta, Belgium, Austria, and the Czech Republic, who received just 1 point. What an extraordinary result. And I remember thinking in 2007 that it would be extremely difficult for Andorra to qualify. It would be extremely difficult for many countries to qualify because it was such a big semi-final. They couldn't really split it into two. They could have done, but the semi-finals would have been fairly short, and it would have been very harsh for the countries that missed out, and you could have had one much tougher semi-final than the other, if you see what I mean. But anyway, 28 songs, 28 entries, and Andorra finished 12th out of 28. Fantastic. And this should give RTVA hope. Admittedly, it was many years ago now, but they should look at this result and see the positives. To finish that high up in the biggest semi-final we've ever had to date is truly, really, really fantastic. The song was called Salvem El Mon, which means Save the World. It was performed by a boy band very similar to Busted and McFly, two pop rock punk groups that were active in the UK at the time. Anonymous was the name of the group. The lead singer, I believe, lives and works in England and has done for some time. He might actually be part English, can't quite remember. Doesn't really matter. 80 points, 8 behind Portugal and 11 behind Moldova, who qualified in 10th place. Watching the performance back recently, it really was very good. You know, it stood out because it was the only rockish sort of song that really made any sort of impact at all. I can't think of any others. No. But anyway, Andorra received points from many, many countries. 12 from Spain, there's a surprise, but points from Finland, Turkey, Greece, countries that had never voted for Andorra before. 6 points from Iceland, 6 from Poland, 7 from the Czech Republic. Did the UK give it anything? No, there's a surprise. But Andorra finishing 12th with 80 points in 2007. Truly, truly fantastic. The best song they've ever sent. In 2008, a very fine piece of pop. This was Gisela with Casanova, and this finished 16th in the first semi-final with 22 points. Wasn't such a fan of her outfit. She was wearing this sort of tight corset-like thing, which was gold, and then a sort of foofy skirt. I don't really know how to describe it. Fashion is not my forte, but yes, finishing above Belgium, Estonia and San Marino, who were making their debut. Andorra received 12 points from Spain, but points from Israel, Estonia, Slovenia, Poland and Ireland as well, and didn't finish last. Look at the positives. It was actually a pretty strong performance. She had a couple of backing singers, and she walked down the little catwalk towards the end. It was quite confident. The vocals were a little shaky at times, but this really wasn't that bad at all. And then moving into 2009, this was La Teva Decisio Get a Life, Your Decision Get a Life. This was performed by Suzanne Georgi. This finished 15th with 8 points. And in that 2009 Moscow competition, this was in the first semi-final, really struggled. A real shame, because the song, again, not that bad. The issue here was it was so obvious the instruments weren't live. I mean, any Eurovision fan, any neutral Eurovision viewer knows, surely, that the instrumentals are not live. There's no orchestra, of course, hasn't been for a long time. But the people playing the guitars on stage, 2 women, for this performance, they weren't even close to pretending to strike the strings of the guitar. It just looked really, really bad. And I'm sure other Eurovision fans will remember that. But Andorra finished 15th out of 18 countries. So 3 nations finished below Andorra that year. Bulgaria, dreadful song. Belgium, Elvis impersonator, completely the wrong idea. And the Czech Republic, Big Fat Zero, terrible, terrible entry. The points for Andorra, well, Spain couldn't vote for them. So you might have thought Andorra would finish rock bottom with no points at all. But no, Turkey, Portugal and Malta all dished out a few points. And that's it. Andorra have not competed since. let's take a look at the biographies of these musicians very briefly. Marta from 2004 is now 38. She's released one album but appears to have done nothing since 2004. She has a son, grew up in France. Her great-grandfather was a trumpeter. Mildly interesting stuff. I really am interested to know what these musicians are doing now. So if you are familiar with them these days, let me know. Marianne van der Waal was born in 1970. She's originally from the Netherlands. She ran, and probably still runs, a small hotel in Andorra. Doesn't say anything about what she's done since. Jennifer Serrano, was born in the Asturias region of Spain. Doesn't say anything else about her. Anonymous, which consisted of Nika, Francesca, Alejandro Martinez, Guillem Gallego and Christian Narvaez. Yes, it says here Nikki Francesca studied at the Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts, and now performs under the name Nick Gain. He was born in Northern Ireland, apparently. He's an electronic rock DJ, born in 1989, so he's 30. Yeah, need to check out some of his stuff. If Andorra came back, would he want to come back? Interesting thought. Then we have Gisela. There she is. She's 40. She's from near Barcelona. She's done a lot of dubbing in movies. Peter Pan 2, Beauty and the Beast. The singing voice of Elsa in Frozen in Castilian, Spanish and Catalan, which is pretty cool. She's still making music. And I'll tell you what, she's had a fairly successful career in Spain. And she's had 2 charting singles in the UK, apparently, one of which was Casanova. I didn't know that. That's fantastic. And then Susan Georgi, who is from Denmark. She's 43, and she's lived in Andorra since the mid-90s. She gave the points for Denmark one year as well. Anyway, I'm really starting to waffle. I think what I'm trying to say is that Andorra have not been completely humiliated at any point in the competition's history. I mean, only 6 entries, but they only came last once in the semi-final, and they've received, 80 points at one point in that huge, massively long semi-final. You've got to look at the positives. None of these songs, in my opinion, are poor. None of them were really dreadful by any means. Yes, maybe things could have been a little bit stronger in terms of the staging, the aesthetic, the vocals. But you know what? They really gave it a good go. And if they came back, look at the positives. San Marino have made the final on 2 occasions, this year receiving their best result yet, admittedly with a bit of a jokey entry, but if they can do it, so can Andorra. And yes, it was a long, long time ago, but Monaco competed many times and won, Luxembourg competed many times and won. There are so many small nations in Eurovision at the moment. Georgia, admittedly, not in a great run of form, but have had some very pleasing results before. Azerbaijan is a pretty titchy nation on any world map and in any world atlas, but Azerbaijan have won within the past decade. Armenia is pretty small, again not in the best form that they've ever been in, but they finished 4th, was it, in 2011? Not 2011, 2014. Cyprus finished 2nd last year, very small country. Malta's had some success. If they can do it, little Andorra can do it as well. And it would be a huge moment because they would no longer be branded with that phrase, only nation not to make a Eurovision final, despite competing on 6 occasions. And hopefully soon to be 7. RTVA, I doubt they're watching this. I doubt anybody who works for them is watching this, but it would be so fantastic if you came back in 2021. Join the party. You would be more than welcome. Let's put Andorra on the map for non-sporting reasons. Because when I think of Andorra, I do think of skiing, and I think of pretty villages and not being great at football. Wouldn't it be great to think of Andorra? Wouldn't it be great for a lot of people to think of Andorra and think, there's that country that this year surprised a lot of people by doing very well at Eurovision? Put Andorra on the map. Let's talk about it. It would be utterly fantastic if Andorra received some really great results in the coming years. But first they've got to return. So, I think that's about it. This was a terribly long, rambling video. I didn't really cover too much, but let me know your thoughts on this. Would you want to see Andorra back at the competition? How well do you think they would do? What sort of music should they send? I'm just going to briefly take a look here. Okay. I'm just going to take a look and see if there's any information on Andorran musicians. Oh dear. Doesn't seem like there is. Maybe this is a whole other video that I should be filming at some point. Why not? I could do a follow-up. Andorran female singers. Andorra never sent a solo male musician, which is quite interesting. Anyway, that's enough. I'm going to upload this video even though it's not very good. Let me know your thoughts. Andorra in 2021. Could it happen? Will it happen? If you're from Andorra, first of all, thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts. What is the atmosphere like around Eurovision in your country? Do you believe if your country came back, you'd actually make the final, maybe at the first attempt? What sort of music is popular in Andorra? Would you send a musician from your homeland or somebody from nearby Spain or southern France? Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. I must stop rambling in my videos, and bye for now.